Hey folks, this is Victor Landa from News Taco. Finally had some time to sit down long enough to record one of these videos. I hadn't done it in a while, and here we are midsummer, and I figured, well, might as well get this done. But also, because of the numbers that we heard yesterday coming from the Pew Research Center regarding the median income of Latinos in the U.S. and what had happened to that median income throughout the Great Recession, I figured it was time to sit down and have a little conversation. And let's see if I can recall those numbers. I mean, they were just published yesterday. In 2005, the median income was of Latinos was $18,359. 4 years later, in 2009, the median income, this is after the experts say that the Great Recession was over, 6,235. That's a 66% drop in the median income of the Latinos in the United States. $6,235 a year. That's the median for Latinos, which is dismal. I mean, it was bad enough as it was in 2005 at 18,000. What's even more interesting is to see what happened to the Latino income as compared to the income of whites in the U.S. The income of whites fell to $113,149, just 16% drop during the Great Recession. The whites did much better than Latinos did. Now, why am I making this distinction? Why is it always about race? It's not so much about race, it's about groups and demographic groups specifically. Because what do we know about Latinos? What do we know about whites? And how does that affect the economy? This is what I'm talking about. Whites are an older community, and as they get older, their needs for retirement income, for medical income, for all the needs that come with an older community, and also when you take into account what that older community is giving to the productivity of the country. If they're getting old, they're working less, their productivity goes down. It happens to everybody. It's going to happen. It happens to Latinos when Latinos get older. In contrast, Latinos are young. They're childbearing age, they're working hard, they're having kids, they're contributing to the economy. And if any group is going to be the one that's going to take this economy on its shoulders and make it work and move it forward, it's going to be Latinos. We know this. And yet, what's happening? Let's think of this as a canary in a coal mine, right? Think of this as a bellwether. Latino median income went down drastically and dramatically. The group, let's not say Latinos, the group that's going to take this economy on its shoulders and make it move forward is having a really hard time, as opposed to the group that's had the least amount of trouble during the recession. Everybody had trouble, but if you compare 66% drop to a 16% drop, you see what I'm talking about. These are people that have the majority of the wealth. They're doing pretty well for themselves. They weathered this recession well. Those that didn't are the ones that we're looking to for the future of the country. So something needs to be done about it. So where are Latinos in the middle of all this? The best way to describe it without sounding like you're the victim, right, is to say that we're on our back foot. We're defensive. We're defending against an onslaught of anti-immigrant sentiment and laws across the country. And even though the majority of us are not immigrants in the sense that we didn't come here, we were born here, and many of us are naturalized here. Some of us for many generations have been here. So we're not immigrants in that sense. We are still a part of that community that the rest of the country looks at and says, you guys are immigrants. So we're we're put in that pile. So it affects us all if you look like what other people think an immigrant looks like. So it's something that all Latinos have been very sensitive and very attuned to. The other thing that's happening is our income is going down. On the political front, redistricting schemes are trying to dilute our voting power. Voter ID laws are trying to disenfranchise, having the effect of disenfranchising Latinos. So we're on the defensive, defending. And then on top of that, there's this news of our economic status being so low. Our economic, in other words, you'd think that we would be making gains in the economy, and we're not. We're slipping back further than anyone else. This is a national problem. This isn't a problem for Latinos. This is the workforce, the young workforce of the country that is having a really hard time. And we need to do something about it, aside from trying to separate them and single them out because of immigration, because of voter ID, because of redistricting. This is about our country as a whole. And then this comes in the midst of all this partisan BS that's going on. All this I've got mine and I'm going to defend mine against you because you're trying to get what you want for yours, as opposed to coming together and trying to make something out of it, which is what we're seeing with this whole debt ceiling thing. It all makes sense of the great idea of who we are as a nation, of many different people trying to come together, trying to make it work. Part of that compromise has to be looking at the bellwether, looking at the canary in the coal mine and saying something needs to be done about this now. It's urgent. It's vital. And the words that we use to talk about it are going to have a great effect. What the Latino community needs, as Gilberto Cañas, who's one of our partners in News Taco, says, is we need a good PR agency to talk about the Latino community as a whole. That's one of the things that we're trying to do at News Taco. We're trying to frame issues in such a way that they make sense in the context of the United States and make sense in the lives of the Latino community. And it's a way of talking about things that furthers the conversation as an American conversation, which is what we are. And these numbers, this 66% drop in the median income of Latinos, is a perfect reason to start talking about it as a part of the whole and say, we need to do something about this now and stop all these shenanigans and work for a better union, a more perfect union, a better country, a better Americans, a better America, and for Latinos to stand front and center and say, we see this, we're being affected by this, this is what we see happening and how it's going to unfold if we don't do something about it now. So that's why we have to fight for political representation, for voting, and to kill all these really nasty anti-immigrant laws and sentiment that's going on across this country. It's all a part of the whole. It all makes sense when you think about it. I hate cliches, but what's that 10,000-foot view? Everything is moving together, and we're part and parcel and vital of what's happening. So that's what I had to say, and that's hopefully something that you'll think about and get back to me, and we'll keep this conversation going until the next time I have sit down long enough to record one of these things again. Se portan bien. Hasta luego.